Oh, you like hiking and camping? I didn't think that you'd be into that. The comment came from a friend after hearing about one of my latest camping trips. It was around the time that I had joined a club for adventure seekers in college. There were no other black people in the group, and there were fewer women in the club than there were men. The club was a reflection of what I commonly saw when I laced up my boots and went hiking. Unless I was in the mountains of the diverse, multicultural melting pot that was Los Angeles, California, I was almost always the only black female hiking in a sea of paler faces out in the woods. My friend who had commented on my interest in the outdoors didn't mean anything by it, but her tone had implied that she didn't expect to see anyone of color outside enjoying nature. The word you was said with such surprise because she hadn't seen very many people of color enjoying camping. Hello, and welcome to the Jazz About Nature podcast, the show where I chat about all things related to the environment. Today I'm sitting down with the two founders of the group Black Girls Trekkin, Tiffany Tharp and Michelle Race. Tiffany and Michelle both lead regular hikes and organize other outdoorsy activities in and around the Los Angeles, California area. And I thought it would be interesting to find out more about the group. I was really interested in how you got into hiking and being in the outdoors.
So it actually started, my hikeversary actually just alerted me on Facebook that it'd been 5 years since my very first hike. Yeah. But basically I started as kind of like a coping mechanism. So I went through like a really bad breakup and I was trying to find like an outlet to kind of release some of this depression and stress that I felt over it. So I kind of just started going out there and hiking, and I really didn't have all trails or anything like that. I just like literally looked up trails online and then didn't really even pay attention to the difficulty, and I just started doing them. So it was a lot of learning. It was a learning experience, but it was really fun being outdoors.
That's good.
Still is.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, this is such a funny question because I feel like people always ask this, and by now you think that I would have kind of a full answer for it. The answer is I don't really know. There isn't one moment that really sticks out for me is when like I kind of started picking up hiking and being in the outdoors. But what I have started to realize is that like as a kid, I was a little bit shy, maybe a little bit introverted, and where I felt the most comfortable was being outside and kind of just like being with my dog in the backyard and realizing like that was kind of a safer place for me to kind of just be myself. And I think I kind of just took that with me into adulthood. And then like as an adult or, you know, a younger person in college, I kind of would go on hikes with my friends as like one-offs. And it kind of wasn't until we started the group, Tiffany and I, that I started hiking more regularly. And so now it's something that I'm trying to incorporate as an adult, maybe to get back to where I was as like a kid, for the outdoors just being like a place where I can be myself and kind of relax.
I ended up going to Yosemite with a group of friends, and I just noticed that while we were in Yosemite, there were a lot of people of color, but just not a lot of black people in Yosemite. And then I ran into the park ranger, Sheldon Johnson, and we kind of had a conversation about like how he was trying to get black families to go into national parks, and I was kind of inspired by our conversation. So originally I just started it as me hiking. Like it was just going to be me having the Instagram and like posting pictures of me hiking and getting to the trails, and then eventually people started using the hashtag that I was using, and I started reposting people, and then all of a sudden like people were like, you guys have a group, like are there any trails we can come do, blah blah blah, and I was like, oh, people are interested in this. So I didn't want to do it by myself because I'm a little bit shy, so that's where Michelle came in. So I reached out to Michelle and was like, hey, do you want to be a part of this like group and maybe make something big of it? And she said yes, and then we started the group.
So Black Girls Trekkin, the group, actually started with Tiffany, and she started it as an Instagram because on her own she was going outdoors. I think she was doing the 52 hike challenge at the time, where you go on 52 hikes in a year. And it was just like a personal way for her to kind of get through some things she was going through. And so she started the Instagram because she realized that there weren't many people of color out on the trail when she was out. And so she started the Instagram. And I think through that, people started to reach out to her and say like, hey, do you do this with other people? Or like, can we come? And so she got in touch with me because we've known each other since high school. And she kind of asked me like, hey, I started this thing and people want me to do it in real life, and like, would you do it with me? And I was like, of course. Because at the time, I was also getting my master's, and my entire focus was like, how do I inspire more people of color to be outdoors? And this was before I realized, even for myself, that like people of color are already outdoors. So I was starting from like the wrong perspective. That was where it was at the time when she was asking me. And so it kind of synced up perfectly. And so from there, we just kind of started the group. And I don't know that we expected it to grow to what it's becoming, but that's kind of the origin story for it.
Starting off, I just talked to like my female Black friends and was like, hey, you guys want to like come on? Because I didn't want it to just be me and her. Kind of introverted, so I was afraid that if like a lot of people showed up, I wouldn't be outgoing and wouldn't talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of asked like some of my female Black friends to help us in the beginning, kind of just so that I could ease my way into talking and being comfortable with the new people that we had. So there was Angela, Camille, who you know, and my cousin Allison. They were some of the first people that were joining us on our hikes.
Camille Elston, the founder of the magazine and the editor for Q26, is the reason why I joined Black Girls Trekking. Without her posting the photo of the first hike on Instagram, I would still be wandering the hills of Los Angeles alone.
Our first hike was November 2017, so 2 years ago now. And we went to Canyon Falls, and it was kind of like a trial hike to see like if it would be something I was comfortable doing, and it was actually really fun. We met Nicole that day, and Nicole was, as you know, an amazing, awesome person, and she kind of really loved what we were doing, and a lot of people had a good time, so it just kind of inspired us to keep going.
Well, Tiffany probably has her own perspective on this, but I know I didn't realize how many groups like ours existed before we started. And so the group that I knew the most about was Outdoor Afro, and so I think at the beginning, that was a group that I kind of looked up to as like, oh, they started this thing and it's gone kind of national, and, you know, like that would be so great. And we kind of wanted to follow in their footsteps. And then once we started, just kind of realizing that like there are so many other groups that have the mission to diversify the outdoors. And so just seeing like Unlikely Hikers and Outdoor Asian and just all of these different groups, I think is what kept us going, because all of those groups are a little bit, and Latino Outdoors for sure, all of those groups are bigger than we are. And so it kind of inspired me anyway to say like, okay, I think if we are persistent and keep trying, that maybe we can also offer a space for people to come and join us in the outdoors. And those groups are so nice and lovely. So Jenny from Unlikely Hikers and Kristen, who's the person out here for Latino Outdoors, are so nice and genuine, and we got to meet them in person, and it was like meeting your idol, but like in the good way. Where it just makes you like really happy you met them and like inspires you, because I know people say, oh, the things that I do kind of like intertwine with each other. Yeah, so professionally, I was and still am working at the Natural History Museum, which for me really opened my eyes to the outdoors in ways that I think didn't really know was possible in a couple of ways, because my background, my undergraduate degree is in marine biology, and I kind of always grew up knowing I loved the ocean. And then I had the opportunity to start working at the Natural History Museum, where they don't just focus on the ocean, they focus on all of nature, so terrestrial and marine. And it made me realize that I am not specifically a marine person. I think I just love to learn, and I love to learn about nature. And so when Black Girls Trekkin started, I thought it was just such a great outlet to tie in my love of nature with my like passion for diversifying the outdoors. And so I think it was like some consistent pushes for me is why we started the conservation and education aspect of things, because I was teaching about it for my job and also learning about it from my job. And I kept just being like, oh, I wish that like during the hikes and things that we leave that like I could just talk about plants. So I think that's how it started. And then obviously Tiffany is an advocate for like conservation and environmentalism and things like that. So I think think. I was like, I want to talk about this. And she was like, yeah, of course, let's talk about protecting the environment.
Yeah. I consider the women of Black Girls Trekking my friends. They are all so nice and supportive. They're always spreading positivity, and they are constantly helping to promote other groups and encourage everyone, especially people of color, to get outside and explore. Without them, I would have never gotten the courage to become a hiking leader myself, or climb to the top of mountain peaks, or even start this podcast.
For me, I just love all the connections that we've made. Like, a lot of the girls have been awesome and have become really close friends. We have like the BGT text message group, which is lit. And just seeing like people that would have probably never met, like they are meeting and then they're going off and doing their own hikes and doing all this stuff. It just kind of makes me feel like a proud parent. Like, I introduced them, like I'm getting people inspired and wanting to go outside and do more things. And I don't know, it's just like I just loved that we kind of did that,
Yeah, that is really special to see, like, all these people who wouldn't have already met come together and really, form a bond and friendship.
Yeah, it's amazing.
One of the things that I love about the group is that Black Girls Trekkin exists because of the group. I think, obviously, Tiffany and I could go on hikes by ourselves and maybe post pictures about that and call it Black Girls Trekkin, but it wouldn't be the same. So what makes the group are the people that come. Like, Tiffany and I kind of pick a date and, scout a trail and bring people with us. But all the things that people say that they love about the group because of the people that come. And I just love that. I love that, like, the community that's being created is really organic. Yeah, and I just love that people come and are maybe finding a space that they needed and wanted. And I just like being a part of that, just like a facilitator as a part of people's journey. It's super rewarding for me to see that happen and to see that grow.
Black Girls Trekking. It seems simple, but I also know there's a meaning behind it.
When I first started Instagram, it was, I believe, Black Girls Who Hike. And I was like, there's some other outdoor activities we could be doing: kayaking, rock climbing, trail running, which I personally will never do, but there's Black trail runners out there. I just figured, why not like include everything? Why limit it to just us hiking? So I just chose trekking because I Googled stuff. And then I was like fascinated by the definition of trek, and it kind of plays into, one, we are challenging our bodies and doing things with trekking, and then two, as Black women, we have our own personal hard journey when it comes to, racism and all that stuff. So it's just kind of like a safe space word, and I wanted it all included in the title of the group.
The women of Black Girls Trekking are united together by their love of nature, their passion for conservation, and are driven to share this passion with the world.
When you're outside, and kind of particularly when you're by yourself outside, there's all this life that's happening around you. And I think I can sometimes get in my head about like, when I'm at work or in other places with people that like, I did something weird and somebody noticed, but that doesn't happen in the outdoors. And so I think what I love most about it is just, it's a time for me to just relax and kind of let go of all of the worries and anxiety that I might have, and just like realize that nature and the life around me is happening with or without me and doesn't really care what I'm doing, which I kind of love.
For one, I just love nature. Like, I love just being outside, hearing the sound of the wind filter through the trees, listening to birds, squirrels, seeing coyotes or random just creatures about. And then another thing is just because we're doing the 6-pack of peaks this year, so another thing I really like is pushing my body to do things that I really wouldn't have imagined myself doing 5 years ago when I first started this. So just the fact that I'm out there doing like these 12, 13-mile hikes, and even though I have like more than a slight fear of heights, the fact that I push myself to the top and make it to the top is just a really rewarding experience for me, that I can get my body to do these things that I just never imagined doing a while ago.
It's amazing what this group has accomplished in just 2 years. All the places we have visited, the mountains we have climbed, and fears we have overcome. And we've evolved into this growing group of amazing women ready to tackle even more challenges.
Well, we don't have the funds right now, but in the future, me and Michelle would hope that Black Girls Trekkin could become like a nonprofit organization, and that we could have groups kind of all over, at least the U.S., because people are constantly asking us about it. They're like, oh, do you have a Seattle group? Do you have a group in D.C., Atlanta? There's people reaching out wanting us to go like across the country, basically. So eventually we would like to get like ambassadors in different cities and states and establish it elsewhere.
That would be awesome.
They're like really high in the sky dreams, and then probably some things that we could actually get done. But I mean, one, I think that Tiffany and I have both talked for a while about growing it outside of Los Angeles. And so I think that's one thing that we're kind of focused on. It's something that could actually happen hopefully soon. It's just like expanding it to other places. And we just haven't, because we want to make sure that the group here is really solid before we start groups in other places, and that the community that started here, we kind of know what that like secret formula is, so that way we can have the same experience in other places if we can't be there. So that's one dream. It's just like have ambassadors in other places and like create communities all over the place.
My other question, it's sort of related to the group, but what advice do you have for anyone, especially people of color, who want to get out there and start hiking?
I would tell them to just kind of do it. I didn't really think about that when I first started hiking. I didn't even realize that it was a thing, an issue with diversity in the outdoors, until I started hiking. So I would just say, just do it. And if you are afraid or need a safe space, just ask friends. Look for groups like Black Girls Trekkin. There's Unlikely Hikers, who we love and we've hiked with before. And there's a lot of groups, especially in LA, that you can hike with and be in a safe space. So I would just say, do your research, make sure you know the trail, bring water, and just, get out there. DGT is tackling on the 6-pack of peaks, and we're more than halfway there. So I'm kind of happy about that. We got 2 more to go, and then I'll have tackled Mount Baldy, which is kind of it's like my own personal Everest. So really nervous about it, but I'm still going to attempt it. And having an amazing support group like Black Girls Trekkin has like really gotten me to push myself and do these things, like I said, that I never really thought I'd do in the past.
I guess my biggest advice would be to just, one, give it a try. I think that it's hard, because I think that some of the barriers for going outdoors is having to maybe go by yourself, which can be daunting in some cases. So I think that if you're the kind of person that is like up for adventure and ready to like kind of jump right in, I think to just go for it and like go online and find a really simple, easy trail and just kind of start there. And I would say my biggest advice, I'm trying to like really get this message across, is that like you don't need all of the things at the start. So you don't need the like perfect hiking boots and the perfect backpack and the everything from there to like get started. That really, if you're just getting into hiking, to just put on your like sturdiest shoes and like find an easy trail and just go out and find out what you like about being outdoors, kind of continue there. And then I would say for people that are maybe more like me, that wouldn't feel maybe as comfortable starting on their own, is just to find at least one other person that can go with you. Or maybe if you have a pet, like take your dog on a dog-friendly trail and just give it a try. And I know that it sounds easier from my perspective, because obviously we have this group, and so what we do is try to create a space where people can maybe just even come once, try it with us, and then go out on their own. And I know that those spaces don't exist everywhere. So the other message I would have is, if you have to be the only person of color out on the trail, then just hopefully it's helpful to you to know that like we're rooting you on, and we can't be there with you in that moment, but with you in spirit, and to just go and give it a try and hope that you like it and like do it the way that you want to do it. It doesn't have to be all the ways that it's represented in the media. If you want to go and do a mile and come back home, do that. Just like find what works for you. Nature can look so static, and there are probably trees that have been there for longer than you've been alive. They probably look the same to everyone, right? As humans, all the trees are the same. But to maybe just take a moment on each of your outdoor hikes or adventures and just look around and like notice all the things that are happening around you.
Groups like Black Girls Trekkin and Latino Outdoors and all the ones that you've mentioned, Unlikely Hikers, they're really necessary to facilitate more inclusion and encourage better representation for marginalized people in the outdoor community. And I really appreciate you sharing more about your work and bringing your love of the outdoors to more people. Thank you. I want to thank you again for chatting with me today, and I'll definitely see you out there on the trail soon.
Yeah, you will.
Awesome. Thanks, Jasmine.
Thanks. You can check out the show notes for more information on Black Girls Trekkin or visit their website, blackgirlstrekkin.com. You can also message me if you or someone you know would like to be on the show and share their insight on the environment, diversity in nature, and the outdoors, or other relevant topics. Just remember that no matter what you do, you should think globally and act locally.